Hi everyone, it's great to be with you today. There's a range of activities around the Emergencies Ministry Program that I'd like to share with you today, and I'd like to do that in a video form rather than just paper and words on a piece of paper. There's some exciting things that are happening in the life of Emergencies Ministry, and despite the fact it might seem like there's not been many activations around the state at this stage, we've still been extraordinarily busy. In fact, to date, as we go to air now, we've had about 25 activations for this half of 2015, and for the whole of 2014 there were 26 activations. So we're quite busy in relation to responding to events across the state, and we're seeing a growth actually in the number of activities around particularly those single incident events that take place in communities each and every day. A couple of things around the activities of the State Office and our involvement at a state policy level is the Victorian Council of Churches Emergencies Ministry is a part of the Victorian Volunteer Consultation Forum, which is a ministerial advisory group to Minister Jane Garrett, Minister for Emergency Services. And Terry Mervyn is our representative, our volunteer representative on that particular committee, and Hee Chin Tan also supports Terry in his role as the volunteer representative. That particular group speaks directly to the Minister, who chairs with the Commissioner for Emergency Management, Craig Lapsley, that particular forum, which I think is exciting that we're around the table with all of the other volunteer emergency service groups. So that continues to occur, and as we can, we'll send out information to you as to what's happening in that space. Something else that's really exciting that's happened this year that you may not be aware of is that we've been asked by Bicycle Network Victoria to develop a memorandum of understanding with them around their major events across the state of Victoria. Unfortunately, in Mansfield during the Great Victorian Bike Ride there was a fatality, and VCC were called in by Mansfield Shire. What resulted from that was that the Bicycle Network Victoria began to see the impact of disaster and emergencies on their events. And so they've engaged the Victorian Council of Churches Emergencies Ministry to support those events as they happen into the future, and we're happy to do so. Also, we're talking with Lifesaving Victoria around a range of activities, and I'll bring more around that as it comes to hand. Earlier this year in May, in fact, I spoke at the Australian and New Zealand Disaster and Emergency Management Conference on the Gold Coast in relation to the faith community's involvement in disasters. It was warmly received and welcomed, and in fact there's some online podcasts that are available in relation to that. But essentially what I'm trying to do is to profile the Emergencies Ministry Program, to profile the faith community's response to disasters at a broader level. And so to be asked to speak at the Australian and New Zealand Disaster Emergency Management Conference was a fantastic opportunity that I couldn't refuse. In relation to our profiling, we've also been asked next week to speak at the emergency management for environmental health officers for the whole state of Victoria. So that's happening next week, where I'll be speaking around psychosocial support, but of course we'll also be discussing emotional spiritual care and the role of faith communities in that. So again, we're being invited into those spaces to help educate and inform the broader community and the emergency management sector around what can the faith communities do in this space. So that's quite exciting. Some other things that are happening within the program is that training is ongoing, and it's growing, and if you haven't been involved in any update training, I invite you to do so. The training is developing. We're just about to launch our new training regime, which is exciting. We've got a new manual, we've got some new content. It's going to be fantastic. Craig Campbell manages the training portion of what we do, and he's busy running around the state and also on weekends, in fact, doing training and working with other faith groups as well. So that's exciting. Another piece of work that's come out of the training stuff is that we're starting to be seen in the sector as having something really important to say. to the point where local government now have asked us to come in, and Craig has gone, I think it's about up to 16, 17 local governments now, and trained them around introduction to personal support. And VCC's led the way in that, which I think is very exciting. What's a spin-off from that just recently in the last couple of months is in fact a couple of regional Department of Health and Human Services teams have asked VCC to come into their region and train their staff around introduction to personal support. So we're certainly being seen in the sector as having something important to say and having some valid things to offer in that space. Something that's just come up in the last 2 weeks is that as a result of some of the conversations I've been having at a state level, Victoria Police have engaged the Victorian Council of Churches to be a part of their sergeants and senior sergeants training in emergency management for the rest of this year. So from August right through till the end of the year, Debbie, Craig and myself will be going out to the Police Academy, and we'll be speaking to the sergeants and the senior sergeants around the role of VCC and what impact that might have on them as decision makers, particularly decision makers on the ground. And further to that, we will be involved in an exercise for inspectors later in the year, which is the next level up essentially around decision making, and VCC will have something to say about that. So that's, again, our reach, our network, our influence is growing each and every day, which is very, very exciting. There's one piece of information that I want you to take from this video today, and that is on October the 28th, Wednesday, October the 28th, put that in your diary. October, Wednesday, 28th, is the State Conference, VCC Emergencies Ministry State Conference. I'm extraordinarily excited about this year's conference. Last year we had overwhelming positive feedback about the conference. You need to get there. It's really important that you're there. We'd love to see you there. It's about networking with other VCC chaplains and personal support workers, and it's about hearing the latest and greatest of what's happening around not only Victoria but the state, but nationally and also internationally. And I want to share with you a piece of information that I've just received today via email, is that the Director General for Emergency Management Australia, Mr. Mark Crossweller, has agreed to be a part of this year's conference, and he'll be speaking around his experience of working in emergency management. I've heard him speak, a couple of our members have heard him speak recently at conferences, and he's got something really important to say about the role of faith communities. So I encourage you, I implore you to, when the information comes out about conference in the next couple of weeks, to mark it in your diary. 28th of October, Wednesday, 28th of October, mark that in your diary. Get to Melbourne if you're in rural and regional Victoria and come along to conference. It's going to be so exciting. Not only have we got Mark Crossweller, I'm pretty sure we've got the Minister for Emergency Services coming along. We've got the Director for Relief and Recovery for Emergency Management Victoria, Jess Frame. She's coming along. She's accepted the invite. We've got Craig Ferguson, who is now a consultant but was with CFA and Department of Health and Human Services before that as the Director of Training. He's going to talk about leadership in crisis. How do you make good decisions under difficult circumstances? You don't want to miss that. That's going to be a spectacular part of the day. Of course, Mark Crossweller. We're hearing also from our partner organisations with Islamic Council of Victoria and the Jewish Emergency Management Plan. There's some great things happening. Cameron Haig from the National Council of Churches is going to be there. He's going to be talking about child-safe stuff. So there's a lot happening at conference, and I really encourage you, if you haven't thought about it, think about it. If you haven't put it in your diary, put it in your diary. Make sure that you get to conference this year. We had over 110 delegates last year. We want to see at least 150 members at conference this year. It's going to be exciting, spectacular, and I'm looking forward to it. So I hope that you're having a good time. We try not to interrupt your normal life as much as possible, only when there's an emergency or a disaster or there's activities around exercises. So I hope that we're not interrupting you too much and that you're still enjoying being a part of Emergencies Ministry. If not, let us know. Let us know what we can make different, changes, what changes we can make, what we can make different so that it suits your needs. Of course, we can't meet everyone's needs, but we'll give it a good shot at trying to make sure that we don't interrupt you too much, but you're available and ready to go. So I thank you for everything that you've done to date. I thank you in advance for what's coming, for your service, your role, your function, your dedication, your commitment. I thank you for all of those things. And I wish you well for the coming period of time. But don't forget conference, 28th of October, Wednesday. Look forward to seeing you there. Take care.